Hi, and welcome to HROL, Harsh Realities of Life. This episode is called Living Money, Dying God, and True Fear. The title may sound shocking, but allow me to explain. I have no intentions of offending anyone, and I am not trying to imply in any fashion that money is living or that God is dying. So what do I mean? Well, let's start with the living money. While living, especially in a capitalistic system, the most important thing is, you guessed it, money. Many people will disagree and say no. As long as you have life, as long as you have your health and the support and love of your friends and family, you're doing just fine. And yes, this is true because, as the old saying goes, money isn't everything. But since my YouTube channel is called Harsh Realities of Life, the harsh reality is that while you are living, you will need money for everything. You'll need money to feed, raise, and educate your children. And if you think the world is an amazing and spectacular place, you will need money to travel and explore it. And yes, you also need money to have good health, as it even costs money to eat. Just to delve a little deeper into this concept, imagine this. There is a man, we'll call him John. John has been working hard, paying his bills and taxes prompt and efficiently for all of his adult life. And with the combined salary of John and his wife, let's call her Lucy, they have been able to send their children to private school in hopes that they will gain the education needed to give them more opportunities than they ever had. And when their time comes, hopefully they will not have to work as hard as their parents once did. But tragedy strikes, and Lucy is involved in a car accident and passes away suddenly. Yes, it is very sad and dramatic, I know, but these things happen. Although John is grieving, he pays for the funeral costs and quickly comes to the realization that he had only been able to maintain the lifestyle he had built when he had his own and his wife Lucy's salaries combined. But now, sadly, he is on his own. Let's keep in mind, John is a model citizen, and what I would like to call an honorable person with good morals and good intentions, paying his bills on time, staying away from crime, literally the complete representation of what the government should want from any of its citizens living and working in their society. But out of the blue, he has been hit with an unforeseen tragedy, leaving him unable to keep up with his obligations. Will the fact John is a good person buy him any leeway? The answer is no. He will not be able to explain his predicament to the bank, to his creditors, to the government, or to any companies he owes or has prior arrangements with. The bottom line is that he needs to find a way to continue making payments or lose what he cannot pay for, be it his home, his children's place in private school, or everything else he has accumulated up to this point. It doesn't matter if he is grieving, it doesn't matter if his life has become too much to bear. The people around him may care about his circumstances, but the system he has served for his entire adult life will not miss a beat. The system runs on the accumulation and circulation of currency, and if you owe, no matter the circumstances, the debt needs to be collected. This implies that to the system, while he is living, money is more important than any situation he can or can't deal with. It is more important than his life, the life of his children and their education, and the life of anyone he loves or cares about. For John to try to explain the harsh realities to his children that they may have to leave their home or their school, I'm sure the only question they will ask is, why? To fully understand, we will have to delve into the word capitalism and its meaning. In a nutshell, capitalism means an economic and political system in which a country's trade and industry are controlled by private owners for profit. Its core principles are accumulation, ownership, and profiting from capital. The concept is associated in some part to the phrase, the survival of the fittest. In the animal kingdom, this means, for instance, the strongest lion will eat the most food and rule the kingdom. For us, this means if you are unfit to make your mortgage payments, you will be removed and replaced with somebody who can. This also means if you have a business, no matter what you encounter or go through, be it death, devastation, disaster, or tragedy, your competitors will not wait for you to recover from your circumstances and compete fairly. They will look at your predicament as an opportunity to capitalize while you are unfit to do the same. So, does this mean that there are no advantages to capitalism, which doesn't include stepping over a weaker individual or someone facing crisis? Because so far, it seems that if you're stronger, fitter, smarter, or just simply from a wealthier background than I am, you are bound to progress much quicker and more efficiently than I ever will. Well, this is where we explore a well-known phrase, the American dream, or as I like to call it, the lottery scheme. This is where everybody has an equal opportunity of being successful. Anyone can build and own their own company, and anyone can work hard, focus on a talent or a trade, and strike it big. The reason I like to call this the lottery scheme is because it is clearly a smoking mirror used to make you believe or stay motivated by the fact that your life could be changed in an instance. But the wealthiest people in the world control $208.3 trillion of the world's currency, which is just under half of the entire global total. Only 1.1% of the world adult population falls in this bracket. The world has a population of roughly 8 billion people. 1% of 8 billion is 80 million people. 80 million may sound like a gigantic number, but keep in mind that you would be able to count 100 million 10 times before reaching just 1 billion, and then do that 7 more times before reaching the total number of people left to share, or more accurately fight or compete, over the other half of the world's remaining currency, which would be about 217 trillion. For more perspective, if the group of 80 million people were to divide their half of the world's currency equally between them, they would each receive around 2,600,000. But if we, being the rest of the world, were to divide the remaining half or what's left of the world's currency equally between us, we would all receive just over $27,000 each. I hope you are beginning to see the smoking mirrors. There is not nearly enough money left in the system to allow a sufficient number of people to obtain what they call the American dream. Let's get back to the lottery. From a quick Google search, I came across this quote from the National Lottery in a small country like the UK. The National Lottery has been changing the lives of winners and supporting good causes across the UK since 1994. In that time, there have been more than 7,000 new millionaires created. End quote. The UK has a population of approximately 67 million people. Just 1% of 67 million would work out to be about 670,000. If the lottery has only managed to create 7,000 new millionaires in the past 30 years, you would have to be a mathematician to work out the percentage of people in this small country that the lottery has actually turned into millionaires. One thing for sure is, that number would have a lot of zeros before the 1. This same theory can also be applied to sports, entertainment, or any profession held in high regard. The fact is, there is not enough of anything to go around. We all can't be doctors, athletes, or famous celebrities. There just needs to be a possibility or appearance of it being true, although the majority of people will not make it. This is why the lottery and the American dream are such elaborate and brilliant schemes. Everybody wants to bite the carrot hanging from the stick, and all the powers that be has to do is make it appear as though you have a chance at winning. And everybody will continue playing, unaware that 99% of people will not make it anywhere near financial freedom. With all this being said, am I simply just trying to say capitalism is wrong? The answer is no, and actually far from it. What I am saying is these are the cards we have been dealt, so you can either rely on the dealer to tell you that you have lost the game because you clearly don't understand the rules, or you can study, research, and practice, in turn giving yourself better odds and a higher possibility of winning. It's better to give yourself that little extra leverage than to be ignorant and rely totally on luck. And yes, the system is imperfect, and we are being lied to and tricked into believing we all have an equal opportunity, but being that there is clearly not enough currency to allow everybody the chance of obtaining the so-called American dream, the only silver lining, if you could call it that, is the fact you are actually allowed to obtain more than your fair share of the world's currency. Look at it this way. If you did actually win the lottery, as small as the odds may be, would you be happy that you are now a millionaire? Or would you be sad at the fact that the money you have won has come from the pockets of all the poor people that played but didn't win? I would much rather be a person who is able to provide help to someone in a crisis or suffering from misfortune than to be an actual part of the misfortunate. In the case of our characters John and Lucy, I would say the mistake that John made was allowing the passing of his wife Lucy to be the catalyst to his realization that he was living in an unfair and unremorseful system. No, money is not everything, but it should be held as a top priority because, as I have previously stated, you do actually need money for everything, and you must never forget or ignore this fact. Doing so would be like owning a car and not prioritizing the fact that you need the keys to drive it. Yes, it is your car, but without the keys, the car is almost useless. The government and the system in this case would be like the tax needed to actually drive the car legally. In my humble opinion, no able-bodied, coherent person, knowing that they live in an unforgiving and unfair system, should only have one source of income they rely on. You should strive instead to have at least two or more, unless you are happy with your life and/or your predicament, and you don't want to drive your own car, as that is your right, and of course your choice. This brings me to my conclusion. Is money the most important thing whilst living? Of course not. The most important thing, in my opinion, is choice. Choice is where your power lies. You did not choose to be born, and you did not choose to be poor or live in an unfair, unforgiving system, but you can choose to fight, you can choose to learn, and you can choose how you obtain currency. Or of course you can look in the fact that the odds are against you and choose to give up. In any case, the choice is yours.